like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. It's time!
It's Sunday, November 27, 2022. This is the Church of MMA podcast. My name is Mason Knight here for episode 146, the preview show to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland. And my co-host today is not here. He's on vacation again. So he is in the Bahamas currently. I guess rehab's playing in the Bahamas, so they flew out. VIP experience. Not too many people get to live the dream of watching the great rehab band in the Bahamas, but Tabor was fortunate enough to go. They flew him out, flew out the whole family. It was a huge deal. Tabor, go follow him on his social media accounts. It's crazy. It's wild. All those people should be in rehab because it is getting lit there in the Bahamas. But Tabor is not here today. But, of course, I've got the great Devin Davis here to help me with this preview show, talk about some MMA news. We are here in the studio live. It does not matter. So, yeah, we'll jump into this a little bit. We'll jump into this card here. UFC Fight Night, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Kevin Holland. All right, we'll start at the top here. This is the line to me here, Devin. I want to get your take on it because it's pretty wild. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is actually coming into this fight as the underdog at a plus 120 to Kevin Holland. What is he favorited here? What is that?
Minus 150.
Minus 150. That is absolutely crazy to me personally. If you guys hear my voice too, I'm a little under the weather. I mean, I'm fine. I'm not sick, but my nose is running, and I'm a little stuffy. Ken Dog's not doing well upstairs. But, yeah, this fight's very interesting here. Stylistically, I absolutely love this matchup. I mean, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, we know historically is a counter-striker. Kevin Holland brings it. But for me, it's kind of strange here because to have someone who has been so good, who has had multiple title fights. Yeah, he did come up short, twice against Tyron Woodley. But Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is one of the best welterweight fighters in this division. And to see that he's the underdog against Kevin Holland, who has had a spotty career, is kind of weird. Now, Devin, I do know that you are you like Kevin Holland, but you're not as hyped on him as, say, maybe Tabor would be. How do you see this matchup going? And stylistically, obviously, we kind of know what's going to happen. But were you shocked about this line as I was?
A little bit. I thought it would be a little more even, considering these guys are both coming off losses. You have two Stevens on a 2-fight skid, I believe, with the Gilbert and then the Bilal Muhammad losses, and then you have Kevin coming off the Hamzat loss, but both great opponents, so I wouldn't take too much away from their stock. But I'm just excited for this fight, but I did think the lines would be a little bit closer. I feel like it's a little bit disrespectful towards Thompson because, like you said, he's fought for 2 titles. I mean, in my opinion, I thought he won one of those fights, but it is a bit odd to me, the lines are this. But, hey, if you're a betting man, then seems like a good time to bet. I'd place my money on Thompson via decision, I would say.
Yeah, that's how I'd go too.
Or Holland KO. You could go either way. It's just a really good fight I'm excited for. I don't think there's really a better fight for both of these men in this division. So, yeah, that's my take on it. I don't know how you feel, but I'm just excited to watch it.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to watch it too. And, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he is getting older. He's 39 years old now, and he has had back-to-back losses. But, I mean, we're talking about the best of the best in this welterweight division. July 10th, 2021, he lost to Gilbert Burns in that co-main event. Really good fight. He lost via decision. That was over 3 rounds. And then, he fought Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad, which was also another really good fight. And Bilal actually ended up winning that one. Bilal has looked really impressive as of late. So, he does have back-to-back losses. And then you have, obviously, Kevin Holland against Hamzat Chimaev. Didn't go his way. But he doesn't lose too much stock, in my opinion, from that fight because that was a last-minute fight. Stylistically, he was fighting a striker in Jing Liang. And it just didn't really work out his way, but I mean, it is what it is. He did get that really impressive second round submission against Tim Means, but I'm really excited for this matchup, and I do agree with you here. If you're a bet man, I would go Wonder Boy via decision or Kevin Holland KO. I think that's basically the only way this fight shakes out. I don't foresee Kevin Holland taking Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson down, implementing that ground game, because Kevin really doesn't have much of one. And that's no disrespect to him. I know he's been working a lot on it since his prior fights. You know, he's working with DC and whatnot. But I just realistically don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be a striking matchup. So, and over the course of 5 rounds, Kevin Holland could definitely catch Wonder Boy. But, you know, he's just got great counter-striking. So this is kind of up in the air to me.
I kind of disagree with Ant W here in the comments. He says, hard to pick. Oh, no, he says hard to pick against Wonder Boy. Okay, I thought he said hard to pick Wonder Boy in a straight stand-up fight. And I was like, bro, what do you
Oh, yeah, no. He's saying hard not to pick
I agree.
Wonder Boy. And I do agree with that 100%. Like, it's hard to go against him here. And that's why I like Wonder Boy Thompson. I'm actually going with him in this fight. And I love the value here at a plus 120. I think that's bonkers. But I'm going to go bet on this fight. And I'm going to bet Wonder Boy by decision. I don't foresee him finishing Kevin. Kevin is a tough son of a bitch. And then I might do the prop the other way on a Kevin Holland KO, depending on the odds. But really good main event. And we're going to go through this whole card, you and I, Devin. This is one of the best fight nights I have ever seen this year. I mean, goodness gracious, from top to bottom, this card is nutty.
I really can't believe that this is free. This should be I would pay for this pay-per-view. I'm surprised.
Yeah. And really. I mean, outside of maybe like getting one title fight for a pay-per-view, but I get what you're saying 100%. Like this card from top to bottom, I wish actually they would have put a couple of these fights on the pay-per-view next week, or I should say, what is that, Saturday, December 10th. I wish they would have done it that way because, man, oh man. But for me, church coin-wise, we're actually going to do church coin later on because Tabor's not here and we didn't get his picks. But I'm going Wonder Boy Thompson here all day. I think he's going to outpoint Kevin. I don't necessarily see Kevin finishing him. It's really hard to finish Wonder Boy. I think only one person has done it, and that was what, Jorge Masvidal? Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis. That's right. Right. That's
Wonder
Pettis.
Boy was winning that fight, and then he got that crazy Superman punch.
Yep. So I'm going Wonder Boy Thompson in this main event. The co-main event here. Let's move on. Who do you have? Just out of curiosity, who do you have in this fight, Devin?
I think I'm going to take RDA on this one.
Oh, no, I meant the...
the previous...
The main.
I'm going to go Wonder Boy.
Wonder Boy?
Because, I mean, at that odds, and it's just 2 strikers, so might as well just go Wonder Boy. Why not?
Yeah.
But would I be surprised if Kevin Holland won? No, I wouldn't. He's got that power.
All right, well, moving on to the co-main event of the evening. This was a really strange one to have in the co-main event, I thought, because we have another fight on this card that I'm like, okay, this is co-main event material, but they ended up putting Bryan Barberena versus Rafael dos Anjos, the great RDA. Bryan Barberena got that really impressive win against Robbie Lawler. That was a barn burner. Those guys were throwing back and forth. I mean, the shots that both those guys were landing on each other, it was nutty. It was wild, but so entertaining. And then Robbie just, towards the end of that second round was kind of getting gassed a little bit. He was just getting touched too much by Barberena here. But Bryan Barberena is coming in at a plus 400 underdog. That is absolutely wild here. But it does make sense at the same time because you're talking about the great RDA. He's now 38 years old. Had that really impressive win. Who was that against? That was that last second fight. Didn't he just fight? Oh my goodness, why Moicano? But it's not showing up here, so I'm like, did he not fight Moicano? Yeah, no, he did. He fought Moicano. Ended up winning that fight. That was back in March 5th. And then obviously lost to Rafael Fiziev, which was a really good fight. Then Fiziev knocked him out in the 5th round. I think, though, let's talk about the actual fight. Let's break down the actual fight here because Bryan Barberena, stylistically, will push the pace. He'll really go for it. This is a co-main event, so it's only 3 rounds, which is actually on the side. In my opinion, the advantage goes to RDA in this because he doesn't have to work over the course of 5 rounds. He's getting older. That 3-round pace, that 3-round cardio, and no disrespect to Barberena here, but I think RDA is just going to piece him up. I think this is not going to be good. I don't think Bryan's going to be able to take RDA down. I don't think he's going to be able to hold him down. And I'm looking at a second-round finish, in my opinion here, RDA versus Brian Barberena. I mean, how do you see this fight shaking out, Devin?
It depends what kind of RDA we see. No disrespect, but lately it's been a little touch and go. But two southpaws fighting each other, almost the same reach. Barberena's going to bring the intensity, but if RDA can get back to it seems like he's been a lot cautious lately, overly cautious. Do you feel the same or no?
Not really, because that fifth round against Faizeev, like, you got to understand, that guy is so dangerous. He can put your lights out, and I think that fight was just more of him, trying to play the long game, trying to go over the course of 5 rounds and outpoint Faizeev. But
right, so I guess over a course of 3 rounds, if he takes his time to figure out Barberena in the first round, and they can implement his game plan in the second and third, if it goes that far, then I'll go RDA. But I'm not going to underestimate Barberena, even with the being a huge underdog, because I know he's going to bring that intensity.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he most certainly will here. I like RDA in this fight. Brian Barberena is a good fighter, but I don't think he's the caliber of Rafael dos Anjos. And over the course of 3 rounds, as you brought up, RDA's been a little bit more reserved. I think over 3 rounds, he's going to really push the pace himself. And I just think he's got the cleaner, crisper striking than Brian. That was a really impressive win over Robbie Lawler, but, that's a vet of the sport that, is on his way out. Still puts on good fights, but just doesn't have any defense. I mean, that fight against Robbie Lawler, there wasn't a lick of defense on Lawler's part. There were times in that fight where Lawler was like this, just like getting hit over and over and over by Brian. And I'm like, he's like one of those fighters like Clay Guida, beforehand, which we will talk about later on because he's on this card. But, his brother slaps him a couple times before he gets in the octagon. That's how I feel like sometimes how he fights. Robbie Lawler is just like, oh, I got to get hit a couple times before I decide to fight. But, yeah, I like RDA here. I think he's a better striker, and it is what it is. So I'm going to go with RDA. Ant W in the chat says, on paper, RDA is a way better fighter. If he sticks to a game plan, he should win comfortably. And I totally agree here. I just don't see this fight going any other way than RDA via victory. All right, moving on to the next fight. Matus Nikolai versus Matt Schnell. This is a really underrated flyweight fight. Flyweights are not as prevalent, once you start getting into the top 10, I would say, or top 15. But this is a really, really good matchup. Matus Nikolai coming in 18-3-1 to Matt Schnell, 16-6. Matt Schnell, a huge underdog in this at a plus 300. Matthias Nikolai coming in at a minus 380. What do you think about this fight, Devin? I think Nikolai is a flyweight to me that is really, really impressive, and he's really young. Still only 29 years old in this flyweight division. I still think has plenty of time to develop his skills, and he's on a really impressive win streak here. I mean, if we're just looking at his fight career historically, he took that 3-year layoff between 2018 and 2021, but since coming back, has defeated Tim Elliott, Manel Kape, and David Dorvak. Defeated all 3 of them. So since coming back to the to mixed martial arts, is on a 3-fight win streak and has looked really, really impressive. Matthew Schnell has had a string of really bad luck. He's had a lot of fights get canceled on him. But again, he had that really impressive second-round submission against Su Maduraji. He's that Chinese fighter, but he's a really good fighter nonetheless. But got that done. And then Brandon Royval submitted him in the second round. I do understand the line here being at a plus 300. I'm actually going to go with the favorite here. I like Nikolai a lot. I like after he took that break and got knocked out by Ortiz back in 2018, he took 3 years off, really worked on his skills, and I think he has looked phenomenal up until this point. So I'm going with the heavy favorite here at a minus 380. Matus Nikolai. I think he's going to get it done. What do you think about this fight, Devin?
I just think it's going to be a good fight overall. I know Nikolai is a heavy favorite, but I'm not going to underestimate Matt Schnell. So I think I'm going to go with Schnell. I'm going to go with the underdog.
Wow, going to go with the dog here,
just because. Okay. Why not? It's going to be. I think flyweights are underrated. That whole division. they're fun fights. They're fast paced. I mean, we've seen what's been going on like the last year and a half. So yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, this whole card's just stacked from top to bottom.
It really is. It really is. And we're going to jump into this one, which I thought should have been the co-main, especially over 3 rounds. Thank God it's not the main event. I'm so tired of seeing heavyweight fights, main events. It's just, it's the worst. I mean, can we be honest? It's just, unless it's like literally a number 1 contender fight, it's just not fun to watch heavyweights go 5 rounds. Because like after the 3rd round, it's like, oh boy, the cardio.
The first round?
Well, yeah, after the first. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here, these heavyweights. But we have Tai Tuivasa versus Sergey Pavlovich. This is an awesome matchup. I think it's a little soon for Tai coming back after that vicious KO by Cyril Gane. That was rough to watch. I mean, I know it's been about 6 months or so, but it's hard for me to see a guy like Tai, who's just so good, still so young, 29 years old, to come back so fast and then to fight a savage like Sergey Pavlovich, who fight was called a little prematurely against Derek Lewis, but still looked really, really good in that fight. And this kid has got hands too, man. I mean, he can crack. He had Derek Lewis, whoa, and then kind of doing that face thing where he falls on his face, but then he caught himself. And it was kind of a really weird fight here. But boy, oh boy, if this is 1.5 rounds, I am betting the under on this fight because I really do believe one of these two is going to knock, they're going to knock each other out. I mean, someone's going to sleep here. Either that be Sergey Pavlovich or Tai Tuivasa. The striking department here, Tai is a little bit more of a wild heavyweight striker. He's got a lot of power. I think Sergey is a little bit more calculated. Has got the better striking here. But man, it only takes one. And that for me is why this fight is so up in the air. And that's why I'm just going with the dog. It doesn't matter to me who the favorite is or who the dog is. I'm just placing money on the dog. And Tai Tuivasa is coming in. He's 15-4. He's coming in a plus 170 underdog to a minus 200 Sergey Pavlovich. One of the striking things about this, though, if you look at their statistics, is Pavlovich has an 84-inch reach. Is that crazy? That's like John Jones.
Yeah, I was going to say John Jones.
That's like very, very long arms. And Tai Tuivasa is 75-inch. So is Tai going to be able to get on the inside? Historically, he has been able to do that because he is actually a smaller heavyweight in regards to like your reach. And he's been able to get on the inside and knock out some really, really long, lengthy fighters. So it is definitely possible here. But coming in at plus 170, I can't pass up those odds. Tai Tuivasa, I want to see a shoey too, so I want to see him get a win. But nonetheless, a really, really good matchup. I'm going Tai Tuivasa. Devin, what is your pick? How do you see this fight going down?
I mean, look, I could just bluff and be like, start talking about all these stats and technique and everything, but at the end of the day, it's heavyweights.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Tuivasa, plus because he's the dog. I'm a betting man. Might as well. That's that, and that's it, Jack.
All right. So we're going to move on to the opening fight of this card here. That's Eric Anders versus Kyle Dawkins. This is kind of I don't want to say do or die for Eric Anders, but unfortunately for him, his career has been really, really spotty in the UFC, and he's 35 years old at this point. His last fight, he lost against Park Jun-young, which, in my opinion, he should have won that fight. And then he loses to Andre Muniz, gets submitted in the first round. He does that fight against Darren the Dentist Stewart was a good fight, and he ended up winning that one. But man, oh man, this has just been it's been a rough go for Eric Anders. And Kyle Dawkins is kind of in that same boat too, though a younger fighter. Getting knocked out by Roman Dolidze. That was a vicious knockout and a very fast one. Did get that submission win against Jamie Pickett, but then loses to Phil Haas. So it's a lot of losing on both ends for these guys. I really feel one of these fighters is soon to be on the chopping block. I think more so Eric Anders than Kyle Dawkins here. But I do like this fight stylistically. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And this is one for me where I kind of go back and forth on. I don't know who's going to win it. Kyle Dawkins is the heavy favorite here at a -200. Eric Anders coming in at +170. I think Vegas lines and odds, that makes sense just because you never know what kind of fight you're going to get with Eric Anders. He's a tough guy, man. He can stick through a lot, but he gets hit a lot. His defense just is not where it needs to be. It's not UFC caliber, in my opinion. Kyle Dawkins has got really good striking, but again, this is another guy that can get caught too. It's just he's athletic, but he's not like a pure athlete, in that sense where you look at like Tyron Woodley and you're like, okay, that guy's an athlete, So he doesn't really have that same natural athletic ability, and I don't think his defense neither is as good as it should be. For me, I'm going to go with Dawkins here. I just can't go with Eric Anders. I mean, I would like to, and I really want to pick him at a +170, but I can't do it. I just don't have any faith in it, and I don't want to lose church coin. This is the last church coin competition of the year, and I need to win it because Tabor's defended the belt like 3 times now. It's getting embarrassing at this point. I'm getting sick of losing. So I am going to go Dawkins here at a heavy favorite, -200. Devin, how do you see this fight shaking out? I mean, who do you got in this one, man? I mean, do you agree with me on the whole Eric Anders thing? Because I just feel like no defense.
I agree somewhat.
He's tough, man. He's
but
a tough guy.
I do like Eric Anders.
So do I.
Like a person, so kind of rooting for him. So I think I'm just gonna go with Anders just because. I mean, if you take Dawkins, I'll just take Anders.
Okay.
Might as well. I like him, like you said. Like it's a little spotty. I think on his JRE pod, I think he said he had like a couple fights left and like in him. So I think I'm just gonna go Eric Anders on this, and hopefully, maybe if this is his last fight, then he just goes out on top. I mean, Dawkins is still fairly youngish.
Yeah, he's 29.
He's got a good record going, so even if he lost, it wouldn't be terrible. But kind of hoping Eric Anders just gets one in before he retires.
Yeah. No, and don't get me wrong. Like, just because I, critique, his fighting skills as far as, like, defensively. Like, I'm a fan of Eric Anders, and I like it, and I like to see him win. But, where's the pot? And don't take my advice for it, guys. I mean, holy shit, I'm just a UFC fan. I could sit here and play Monday morning quarterback and talk about defense and stuff, but, if I were to get in a fight, I'd have no defense myself, so obviously. All right.
We skipped over a fight. I just want to get your thoughts on it real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want your thoughts on Roman Dolidze stepping in for Derek Brunson against Jack Hermansson. There's no odds for it yet, but this has been announced. Yeah,
well, it's not any easier for Jack Hermansson, let's put it that way. If anything, I would say this fight's actually stylistically a little bit harder for him because, Derek Brunson is a wrestler. Jack Hermansson is a wrestler. They're both really good on the ground. But now you have Roman Dolidze stepping in, who is a great striker, can knock you out in one shot and it makes no bones about it. So stylistically, completely different matchup for Jack Hermansson. He doesn't do good historically against guys who have a lot of knockout power unless he can get them to the mats and really implement that ground game. I actually like Dolidze here coming in on a short notice because Jack Hermansson's training camp, I'm sure, has been completely different for Brunson, and now Roman's stepping in. I like Roman Dolidze here. I think he's going to get the job done against Jack Hermansson. What a spot for him to be in, to come in this fight short notice and take a top 10 guy like Jack Hermansson. So shout out to Roman Dolidze. I think he's going to get that one done, and that's where my church coin is going. What do you think about this matchup?
I don't know. I was kind of gonna root for Brunson and then when they were scheduled to fight, but now, what was Dolidze's last fight? I can't remember.
Dolidze knocked out Kyle Dawkins.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go Hermansson on this one. I like his ground game. I like his wrestling. He's a pretty okay striker. Remember that fight against Fiziev, so...
Oh, and then he knocked out Phil Haas just like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Even then, so Dolidze's got that power, and but Phil Haas did hurt his leg, so not to take anything away from Roman, but
right,
what happens when you go against a wrestler? Let's see what that. So I'm just gonna go Hermansson on this one, but not because I'm disrespecting Dolidze or anything. He's shown that he can be a top contender, I think, in the future, for sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So I'm just excited for his career. And I'm glad that Phil Haas knockout kind of put him out there more in the ether. So
Yeah.
just excited to see that. But I'm gonna take Hermanson here on this one.
Okay. And how do you think he gets that done? I mean, do you think he takes him down and implements the ground game, tries to submit him or something?
Yeah, I think he's going to implement his ground game a lot. Because like I said, he saw that power, or assuming he is watching footage of his next opponent. So he saw his style a little bit. So I'm hoping that Hermanson can just kind of grapple him and beat him up on the ground, submit him if possible. But Hermanson's not too bad of a striker himself. So I think Deladze may have a slightly bit more power, though. So I think I'm just going to go with Hermanson, though. Might as well.
Yeah, I mean, and what a place to be slotted into, for Roman Deladze.
It's just a good fight, all in general.
Yeah, it is.
We can sit here and just talk stats and footwork and wrestling and all this and all that, but at the end of the day, I think it's just a good matchup in general.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And not only that, but Roman Deladze's hasn't even hit the top 15 yet.
No.
And now he's going to take on number 8. I mean,
yeah,
if he can get the job done, have three wins back-to-back this year, and defeat a guy who's ranked number 8, I mean, the sky's the limit for this guy.
Yeah, it's just a good fight. Like, it could go either way, I think. And that's what excites me the most, because I don't know. Like, there's not one definite answer. So I don't know if you feel the same, or if you think Deladze is just going to go in there and with the power.
Yeah, I really do. I think the power is going to be the biggest factor in this fight. I mean, Jack can take him down. He can implement that wrestling. Yeah, sure. But Jack doesn't have terrible striking either. Like, I do think a lot of people look past his striking right away just because he's not the most
prominent.
I'm not the most prominent striker, but he still can stand and bang too. But I just like Roman Deladze here. I like the story. I like the come up. And he's just cracking right now, dude. I mean, 2 back-to-back first-round finishes. That's a dangerous man right there. And I like seeing new guys, break the top 15. So I'm all in on Roman Deladze here. I think he'll get the job done. All right, guys, normally we don't talk about prelim fights, but don't have a whole lot of MMA news. And we'll do our quick picks for this because this is worth going through. This prelim is so stacked. Guys, you have to tune into this Fight Night card. From top to bottom, I mean, we're going to be in the studio all day. We're going to go live probably at like 4 or 5 p.m. because we have to. So let's start all the way at the bottom. We're actually going to go in reverse order from what we've been doing. Let's start with Yasmin Jarugui versus Estela Nunez. Now, Yasmin might sound pretty familiar. She is that Dana White Contender Series girl. She's 21 years old, and she had an unbelievable fight. If you did not see this fight, you have to go back and watch it. She had an unbelievable fight against Yasmin Lucindo, and this was a 3-round fight. Both these girls super young, 20 and 21, and these two were throwing back and forth. Might have been the woman fight of the year. I'm serious. And this should be like one of the contenders for fight of the year in general, because they were going back and forth. It was absolutely wild. And that was back in August. She did get the victory there, still undefeated. Dana White Contender Series. And now she's taking on Estela Nunez, 30 years old. She did lose her last fight to Sam Hughes. But, man, oh man, this is a tough matchup for Estela. I really, really like Yasmin here. I'm assuming Yasmin is going to come in at the heavy favorite. She does at a -330 to a +260. I think sky's the limit for this Yasmin girl. I was really impressed with her first fight in the UFC. I'm going Yasmin all day here. What do you think, Devin? Who do you got?
I'm going Yasmin as well. I was really impressed with her on the series, and I forget what card it was that she fought in a couple of months ago, I think. But like you said, it was didn't that get like fight of the night or something?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the young and upcomer. I'm excited. 9-0, looking good. Looks like she's about the same height, almost same reach, both orthodox. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna go her by decision, maybe.
By decision?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's probably how it's going to shake out. It's probably via decision. All right, we're going to move on to the next fight here. Marcelo Rojo, whatever, versus Francis Marshall. What?
Red,
yeah, Rojo. Against Francis Marshall here. Now, Francis Marshall is a new guy in the UFC, Dana White Contender Series guy. He fought Connor Matthews in that fight and won via unanimous decision. So this is his first fight. You know, Marcellus Rojo has been in the UFC for a little while. His last fight was against Kyler Phillips, who defeated him back in February of 2022. I'm just going to go with the new guy here. I like Francis Marshall, and that's my quick pick. Let's go Francis Marshall coming in at a minus 180 favorite to a plus 155 Marcelo Rojo. Devin, tell me what you think about this. I'm going to go grab water. My throat is dry as fuck. So just tell me what you think.
I'm just going to go probably... Well, I think I'm just going to go Marcelo Rojo just because Rojo is red in Spanish. So, yep, that's my pick.
All right.
Powerful
stuff. Super unprofessional. I should have grabbed water beforehand, but I did not. It is what it is. We're on the fly today.
Next fight, we got Natan Levy and Gennaro Valdez. How's this one shaking out, Mason?
This is a really good matchup here. We got Nathan Levy versus, as you just said, Levy coming in at a minus 180 favorite. He's 7-1 in his mixed martial arts career. And then you have Gennaro, too, who's 10-1. Levy's coming in at minus 180 to a plus 155.
Very close fight.
Very close.
Same reach.
Yep.
Though we have to factor in Southpaw versus Orthodox. How's that going to play out?
Yeah, stylistically, this is interesting. 31-30. Let's see here. Nathan Levy has gotten 2 fights in the UFC. He won his last fight via decision, lost, though, to Rafa Garcia in his opening here. And then on the other side, you have... So, wow, he does have one loss in the UFC. And then you have Gennaro Valdez, 10-1, 7 knockout victories. His last fight was against Matt Fravola, lost in the first round via TKO punches. I like Gennaro here. Go ahead and give me the dog. Gennaro to plus 155. I'm going to take him in this matchup. All right, let's talk about this one. I'm actually really excited about this. Tracy Cortez versus Amanda Hebos. Hebos coming in at the slight favorite at a minus 120 to a plus 100. Tracy Cortez. This is another one of those fights.
I'm just so surprised this is not higher up on
the card.
On the either closer to the main event or even switching out for one. I mean, look at all these fights, man. Cortez, Ribas, Elkins, Pierce, Johnson, Dukakis, Guida, Holtzman, Angela Hill, Nico Price. I guess this is crazy that these are all in the prelim.
I know.
We're getting spoiled. But
it's wild.
Anyway, how's this one shaking out, Mason?
You know, I really don't know. I mean, Amanda Hebos is a really good striker. We did see her get tested against Caitlin Chikagian. You know, she did unfortunately lose that fight. But, I mean, you're talking about one of the best flyweights in the women's division in Caitlin Chikagian. Tracy Cortez, on the other side, has not fought as high of echelon of competition. I think that's one of my main hiccups here. And I think Amanda Hebos is a very, very good striker. I really believe in her style, and I love these odds at a minus 120. My quick pick all day is Amanda Hebos here. I am definitely going to go and bet on this next week. I think that's a lock-in, is Amanda Hebos at a minus 120. You're not going to get better odds than that. So
I'm taking Cortez at a plus 100.
Wow, okay. I think we're just opposite on every fight today. It's crazy. All right, moving on.
I can switch real quick like Tabor if you want.
Yeah, no. That's okay. Because I like having different fights anyway. Darren Elkins, Jonathan Pierce. The damage. Has taken a lot of damage over the course of his UFC career. Started all the way back in 2010 fighting in the UFC. That is absolutely crazy. And then you have Mark Daisuke here. This is a fun fight. And what kind of blows me away is Daisuke is still only 29 years old, and for some reason,
I feel like I've seen him forever.
Yeah, I feel like he's like a seasoned vet. But again, still only 29, still's got plenty of time to develop. Got a really impressive win his last time against Damir Hadovazic. Very crazy name. And Daisuke's actually turning around his career quite a bit. After that loss to Rafael Alves, he got submitted last year. He's on a 2-fight win streak now. And this is a really, really big opportunity for him against a very powerful striker in Michael Johnson. And,
Wait, did you skip over the Pierce fight?
No, I think I just did a quick pick for that.
Oh. Who'd you
pick? Yeah, no, I did skip over that. Yeah, I did. My bad. Jonathan. Well, I'm going with Jonathan Pierce all day.
Okay, yeah. So was I. So I just wanted
and don't get me wrong. I love Darren Elkins.
Look, he's on it.
He's great, man. He's so entertaining to watch.
That last fight with Tristan Connolly was good, and then the close fight with him and Cub Swanson was good. But then before that, he beat Derek Minor. So
that fight was really shocking when Cup went out there and knocked him out. I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" But it was a really good fight. He's a great fighter. He's fun to watch. But Jonathan Pierce has got all the tools necessary to defeat Darren, and I don't see that fight going any other way. Jonathan Pierce is an exceptional mixed martial artist. All right, Michael Johnson. When you do a podcast, oh my gosh, my throat is just so dry, it sucks. Michael Johnson versus Mark Daisuke. Michael Johnson coming in a plus 220 underdog, Devin. Is this not wild?
This is pretty wild. I mean, no disrespect.
I think it's disrespectful.
Look, the only thing that you can say about Michael Johnson is that his career is very spotty and he has almost as many losses as he does wins.
Yes.
But he's still a very entertaining and I think great athlete who you like to see fight, in my opinion.
Let's take his last fight against Jamie Malarkey. Was that not so much fun to watch?
It was amazing.
And it was a close fight, too. There were moments you thought Michael Johnson was going to win, and then Jamie would come back. It was just back and forth, and that was a really good 3-round fight, But to have Michael Johnson at a plus 220, as much as I like Mark Daisuke, I'm going to go and bet on Michael Johnson at a plus 220. That's crazy. It only takes one from the guy. I mean, he can literally finish anyone in this lightweight division. People underestimate how much power this guy actually has.
It's just he didn't have the output. He doesn't have a consistent output in the rounds, which is what allowed Jamie to get back and steal some rounds. So if he can have a consistent and steady output and damage going out, then I think he may be able to take this. Or even, like you said, he just needs one shot. But he can't just sit there and get beat up for 3 rounds and then hope to land one haymaker. That's not going to work out. I mean, it could, and it has. If he wants to win this fight on a little more smart side, then I think he's going to have a more steady output because he's got to utilize his power against Mark. But
yeah. And not only that, but Mark has literally never been finished. I take that back. He's been finished, but he's never been knocked out.
Right.
In his whole career. So obviously this guy's really hard to land a clean shot on. So Michael Johnson might have to reel back that power a little bit and kind of, work on the more technical striking, try to outpoint him because this fight's more than likely going to go decision unless Michael Johnson can finish him and knock him out. All right, let's move on to the next fight. Clay Guida versus Scott Holtzman. Another really awesome fight, man. I like to see this. Clay's still doing the damn thing. It is absolutely incredible, his career and what he's been able to do. 37-19. No, that is not a final score to a football game. That is how many professional fights Clay Guida has had. 37-19. That's 56 professional fights. That's just... It's absolutely mind-blowing to me.
Good thing Tabor's not here to call him a dinosaur.
Yeah, exactly, because Clay deserves our respect. He's coming in here at a slight dog here at a plus 130 to Scott Holtzman coming in at minus 155. Devin, how do you see this one? I mean, is this a fight that you're still excited for? Are you still excited when Clay Guida's on a card? Because I know I am.
Look, when he came out and got out of, I forget what that fight was, but he was in a... It wasn't what's his face when he got caught in the leg lock. It was
not Puelas, but
the one prior to
Leonardo Santos,
where he came back after almost getting knocked out in the first round. I think it was.
Oh yeah.
I forget that fight, but yeah, we all. It's just one of those things where you just kind of get excited a little bit to go see him fight. So, but am I taking him in this fight? I don't know. I think I'm going Holtzman on this one for obvious reasons. But would I be upset if Clay won? No, not at all. he's still got how old is he? Like 40?
He's 40 now.
Yeah. I think he just needs to take money fights and stuff because he just loves to fight. So,
and that is what this fight is. I mean, Scott Holtzman is 39 himself. Had a real rough knockout against Matsuts Gamrot last year, but took a year off to recover from that, and that's good. And Scott Holtzman, I mean, you think about this, man. This guy has been taking on elite competition. He is losing to this elite competition, but still, holy hell. He took on Beneil Dariush, right, and got knocked out by Beneil back in 2020, and then got the victory over Jim Miller via decision, and then got knocked out by Matsuts Gamrot. So they're not giving Scott Holtzman anyone easy to try and defeat here. So I really do like this matchup. And I will say, I think Scott's probably going to win this fight. I hate to go against Clay Guida. Therefore, I'm not going to. I'm picking Clay Guida, bitch, because Clay Guida is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I'm never going to pick against him. And let's go Clay. But Scott, if you win, I'd still be happy for you. I do like your fight style. All right, moving on. Angela Hill, Emily Ducoit. Angela Hill. Coming in, as always, as the dog. They never give her any respect.
It's just because she always, not always, but gets these split decision losses that even commentators are like, nah.
Yeah.
And that just affects her record, which affects the outlook on the odds. So I'm going Angela Hill as always. Always Angela Hill, no matter what.
Yeah, so. I mean, Angela Hill, finally getting a win again against Lupita Gonides. Via decision. Hey, she got a decision there, but it was kind of hard not to pick her in that one.
I mean, they'll try, man. I think they have something against her. Like, every single close decision, I think she's going to win. She doesn't get it, and it's weird. I don't understand.
It's super weird. It doesn't make any sense.
I need to go look at the rules and judging criteria just for when Angela Hill fights because I think she does the right things that she doesn't get stopped to win the fight. Either barely or by a long shot, and she just doesn't get the wins, and it's so annoying. She's just one of those fighters that doesn't get decisions. I don't understand why.
She doesn't get decisions, and then a lot of people think she wins those fights.
And then a lot of the thing is, okay, well, then don't let it go to the judges. And you're right. You're 100% right. It's just when it does, I think the right call should be made, but whatever.
Well, and still ethically, we should call the fights for the winners, right? So, even if it does go to the judges' scorecard, they should have enough common sense to know who wins. Like that Claudia Gadelha fight when she fought her a couple of years ago. I was like, how did they give that fight to Claudia?
I don't know,
Angela Hill
and I think she should have her record rearranged for because some of those should be contested. It's a little silly, but I'm glad the UFC treats her very well, regardless. Kind of like her and Anthony Smith, like they treat them pretty well, like regardless of their outcomes of the fight. So I'm excited.
I like that too because I like Angela Hill a lot. I follow her on Instagram.
She's
Instagram
great.
And stuff.
Do you like her?
Awesome.
Do you like her podcast and all that? Have you watch that at all?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not know she had a podcast, but I will definitely check it out.
Monday Fight Breakdown or something like that. I
really
may have just Joey Diaz butchered it, but she's got a Khalil Beeb podcast or whatever it is, but it's great, and I think you'll appreciate it. She breaks them down pretty good, as well as Laura. I would say.
Laura's got a podcast too.
No, as well as Laura.
Oh, I was gonna say,
actually she might.
She might. Yeah.
I see her on. Well, she at least puts out content. So, but yeah, it's great breakdowns. I think you'll like it. Anyway, Angela Hill.
Yep, I'm going Angela Hill here too. Emily Ducoit has got one fight in the UFC. She got a win against Penne. So I mean, the real deal. She's 28 years old. Angela Hill's 37. Could go either way here, but give me Angela Hill. All right. Main event of the prelims: Nico Price versus Philip Rowe. Oh my good God. This fight is going to be a finish. I don't know who's going to finish who. It could go literally back and forth. But Philip Rowe, going out there and knocking out Jason Witt in that second round with a vicious right hand. And then Philip Rowe getting another knockout win against Orion Kosuke. So, I mean, these guys are throwing back and forth. It's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a lot of fun.
What's up with...
And this is finally Nico Price's first fight in 2022. He took a little hiatus.
What's up with Nico's record? Doesn't he have that draw against Cowboy?
Yeah, and a couple no contests, too.
That's weird.
Yeah. Huh. It was a draw overturned, I guess. So now it's a draw, I suppose. Very weird. Very strange. And then I'm assuming the canceled fights or is no contact. I don't know what's going on there either.
Yeah, I don't understand. But regardless, I'm going to take Nico in this one. How about you, Mason?
Oh, oof. I love Nico Price, man. I love him. He's a wild man. But I think Philip Rowe has got better technical striking, I would say, than Nico. Nico's good, man, but he gets a little wild sometimes. And I love it because that's just who he is. Wild. I know, that's just who he is. But, Nico was one of the first people to interact with the Church of MMA podcast, so therefore he's one of our favorite fighters, and I can't pick against Nico Price.
Is he really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, when we first started our podcast, we were on Twitter, and, he was having conversations with us and stuff, and it was pretty wild because, we were
Should we ask him to be our mascot?
The Nico mascot, that'd be really cool for the church. That'd be dope. Yeah, maybe. I'll hit him up. I'll see. It's been a while since we talked to him, but.
Yeah, I think I have his number in my phone somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere. I've still got his @handle at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, it's right here.
Yeah, there we go. Just call him up, and then we'll figure it out. But I am going Nico Price in that. Going to be a great matchup. Guys, this card is absolute fire too, man. From top to bottom. UFC Fight Night, December 3rd is going to be electric. Going to be fun. We're going to be in the studio for this, a fight companion. We'll probably do the entire card. Why the hell not? Tabor will not be here. Again, as I said, guys, the band Rehab flew him out and his family out to the Bahamas, an exclusive VIP trip. They flew him out to an island. We're not sure what island, but it's somewhere.
I think the Island Boys are there too.
The Island Boys, ironically, are there, but they did break up, so it's only one Island Boy. So it's the Island Child.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure there will be other island children on this.
Well, you're on an island, and children got to get made. So,
right, yeah. Of course. It is just the natural way of things. But, Tabor won't be here this weekend, but we are going to have a couple people on. We got the Dreyer brothers coming on, the last that I know, so that'll be cool. We're going to talk a lot of sports betting with them because I'm in this group. Tanner was nice enough to allow me to be in the sports betting group on Snapchat, and we're all just a bunch of degenerates in that. We just bet on everything all the time. It's going to be a lot of fun, so we're going to be talking a lot of sports bets next week.
So now that we're done with UFC, let's talk about this Kayla Harrison fight.
Let's do it.
She feels open scoring might have changed things, so she's kind of going for that now. How do you feel about that? You feel like that's just kind of salty, or does she actually make sense?
Look, it's so controversial, apparently, to the MMA community. There are some people who are all for it and some people who are just absolutely against it. Look, to me, open scoring makes the most sense in the world. It is the only sport in history, and we're still calling this a sport, right? So, when you say mixed martial arts in the UFC, well, it's entertainment. It's still a sport, the same way boxing's a sport and all that kind of stuff. I, for the life of me, do not understand why it's the only sport where you don't know what the score is.
The NFL just stops keeping track, and then it's at the end, they're like, this team won.
This team won. You could do the math in your head. You're not an idiot. But, still, it would be confusing. Get a couple beers. Mariners hit a 3-run home run or something. You're at a Mariner game.
Well, we got to see if that counts. We got to see if it counts.
And we don't know what the score is or anything. I think it's completely asinine. We should have open scoring, and not only that. You know what open scoring would do for mixed martial arts? It would hold these judges more accountable. When you have a guy like Sal D'Amato, when 2 judges gave it 10-9 clearly to someone else, and Sal gives 10-9 to a different fighter. I'm not picking on you, Sal, but I'm picking on you. It's just. To me, open scoring, I don't see where the negatives are. And I have heard a full-on hour debate podcast on this. It was with DC and someone else, but they had a full-on debate about it. And I believe DC was actually against open scoring.
He had that conversation with Laura Sanko.
Yeah, it was Laura Sanko. And for me, it makes no sense why we don't have open scoring. But I'll tell you right now, Dana's never going to change it. Never. Not in a million years. We're never going to get another weight division, 165 division, and we'll never see open scoring. So we can complain about it all we want, and Kayla can, and hopefully maybe the PFL will do open scoring, but I don't think it's ever going to happen, if I'm being honest. I don't think open scoring will ever happen, but it should happen, and it needs to happen.
What do you think about them showing, I forget who it was, so forgive me. I will credit you when I figure it out, or if I remember. But someone mentioned instead of doing... If they're not going to do open scoring, then at least do more live odds. How do you feel about that?
Well, live odds can be wrong. Live odds can be wrong. I mean, remember live odds for, God, what fight was that? We were watching a Fight Companion, and the live odds was like a minus 300, and then they lost by decision, and it was the last round. And I'm like, what the hell? So, like, live odds can be really, really wrong, too.
They can be, but it's better, I guess, than nothing, which sucks, because it's just a kind of like a, what do you call that? A fake dam.
You know
for
what?
A problem.
Here's a really good alternative, which I think would actually work in the UFC. Part of the fight contract is, do you want open scoring or do you not want open scoring? And then both fighters have to agree to yes for open scoring. That's how it should be. Because if both fighters agree, both camps agree to an open score fight, then okay, have an open score. But if one camp doesn't agree with it, then just say no.
I just don't think they would do that just because Dana seems like kind of like an all or nothing type of guy.
Yes, he is. Very much so.
Unfortunately, even though I like that idea, it would just be something that they'd have to implement in general. So I don't think that's going to happen. I wish it would, but I doubt it.
Yeah, no.
But I'm not opposed to open scoring. I think there's more pros than there are cons. And then people say, like, well, if they know that they're up a round or something, then they'll coast. It's like they do that anyway, regardless, right?
Yeah.
Or they may be injured and may not be able to have a bigger output, or maybe they're going to go balls to the wall, or maybe they're going to do this or that. Like, we don't know. But regardless, at least showing the fans is not going to change the outcome of the fight. Or maybe it will, and then it'll be more exciting because they're going to go out there and try to just win the fight by finish. So I feel like it just benefits the fans and fighters more than the cons, but I guess I'm not sure why Uncle Dana is just doesn't really care about it. But, you know, he said he wouldn't ever have women in the UFC, and now look at him. So maybe he'll change as he gets older. Maybe he'll, after even such a controversial fight with like the Jan and O'Malley, maybe it's time to have open scoring. That would eliminate a lot of criticism, I feel, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope so, but I just don't see it ever changing. But as far as Kayla Harrison, it was an absolutely shocker to see. She lost me some cheddar too because I put it on the KO and under a round and a half, and she ended up losing via unanimous decision, 48-47. So, you know, it is what it is. The great Kayla Harrison has been defeated. It is a very shocking turn of events. I mean, how shocked were you on a scale of 1 to 10? Because mine was like a 9.9.
Mine was like a 10.
Yeah.
Because she usually talks a lot of shit and just goes in there and gets it done and backs it up. But this time it was like a war. And she's already beat this lady twice.
I know. It was
last fight was in 2019, I think.
Crazy turn of events here. But shout out to the new champ.
It's been a lot of upsets in the MMA community lately. So at this point, I really shouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
I wonder what she's going to do now because she didn't win that $1 million. I wonder if she's going to sign with the UFC. We might have a 145er again.
She should, in my opinion.
She should.
For
she
that
could take
prestige.
on Amanda
She's already got
Nunes.
a lot of money, right? She's already got a lot of sponsors. So she could take on Amanda or even go fight Cyborg, which they were for. Cyborg was for.
Yep.
I don't see why she couldn't. But
Yeah,
I feel like maybe she's going to try to go again, get that money, and then maybe leave. But it's like, at this point, you've made a lot of money. Time to fight other big dogs, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All
Did you
right,
see that Conor McGregor's teammate is like suing him over Proper 12?
Artem Lobov is suing Conor because he came up, what he's claiming, I don't know if this is true, of course, but he's claiming that he came up with Proper 12. Proper 12. He came up with the name, the idea, all this fun stuff, and Conor just stole it from him, which sounds like a Conor thing to do, for being honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of chunk. It seems like a while to wait to get a chunk of change, or maybe it just.
Maybe he had a falling out with his friend, and his friend quit, buying stuff for him. So he's like, "Screw you, I'm going to sue you." I'll tell you right now, he's not going to win. Not in a million years will he win that lawsuit. Conor's got all the money. He's got all the lawyers necessary. He's super rich. Lobov is just, I don't know what he's doing. Just wasting his money, essentially, because he has no shot of winning. But it is what it is. I also want to talk about this. Jerry Petrosca vacated his light heavyweight belt. And now the new light heavyweight fight for December 10th is Magomed Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz.
Speaking of that, how do you feel about the UFC not giving Glover a little extra time to prepare for different? Do you feel
so? The situation
I see
was
both sides of the fence.
Yeah,
I understand that they want a fight that night. They need, they need a fucking title fight. But he said, "Hey, you switched up opponents. A couple weeks out. Can I get an extra week?" They said no. He said, "Well, what if I fought Jan instead?" Then they said no. I mean, I kind of wouldn't want to see the Jan fight again anyway, just because he smoked him the first time.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish Glover was fighting for that belt. I mean, that's just me. But they did give him opportunity, and he turned it down. So I don't know, because he's already in camp. Yeah. But you are preparing for a totally different opponent, which I get. So it sucks. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Look, when you get to a certain point in someone's career, when you're Glover Teixeira, you're 41 years old, you've been the light heavyweight champion of the world, you lose your belt in the 5th round to a fight that you were winning, and then you get a rematch with that man, Jiri Prochazka. He falls out due to a shoulder injury, and the UFC gives you 3 weeks to take on a completely different opponent. In 3 weeks, I completely understand why Glover Teixeira said, "Hey, look, I need a little bit more time. Can we push this back?" Unfortunately, what the UFC ended up doing is they went with Magomed Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz instead. And I do kind of wish that they would have given Glover that opportunity to win his belt back. But at the same time, they needed a main event for December 10th. Glover wasn't going to be ready, and I understand his point 100%. And I understand the UFC's point, and I'm not going to always just rag on the UFC. Like, I understand. They needed a main event for this big end-of-the-year pay-per-view. And if it wasn't going to be Jiri Prochazka and Glover didn't want to step in and take on, a different contender, then you had to go the Jan Blachowicz, Magomed Ankalaev route. So I get it from both sides. I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed. But what a stand-up thing of Jiri Prochazka to do to vacate his belt instead of holding on to it and waiting another year until he can defend it. So.
Well, another thing is, do you think Jan deserves that shot? Because I was kind of iffy about it, because he did win his last fight, but before that, didn't he lose? It wasn't like a super stellar performance where I think he deserved another shot. No disrespect, but
yeah. So
I felt like I wanted him to win one more fight, because I know his fight against Dawkins got canceled, and then he beat Rakic. Yeah. But I felt like I wanted to see like one more fight, because he just had the loss to Glover. Yeah. Then he had the canceled fight, and then he had the Rakic fight, and then he's fighting for the belt again. I kind of wanted one more fight to solidify that as number one contender. How do you feel about that? Yes or no?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I mean, given this situation and given that there's really no one else, I mean, you have Rakic, that's it, or Anthony Smith at 5, and it's like neither one of those guys deserve a shot either. I think Jan, being the former light heavyweight champion of the world and defending his belt too, I think he more than deserves a shot, and I'm totally fine with it, honestly.
Okay, moving on. Did you see that Kennedy Njeku's mother passes away after his victory?
No, I didn't.
I didn't put it in the MMA news because I already included that Stipe's father passed, and that's why he's not fighting. I didn't want to just have, like, 2 sad things.
Well, but you brought him up.
But I figured to brought it up now, but just what a story. You win the belt, and then your mother passes away, but at least she got to see you. Or, sorry, not win the belt. You won your fight.
Won your fight.
You won your fight, and your mother passes away after a stellar performance like that. It just kind of sucks, right?
Yeah, that's awful. That's it's really sad. Like, luckily for me, I have both my parents, but I can't imagine losing either one of them. Like, and how much of a toll that would take on someone. And you have the highest highs of life. I mean, you get slotted into this main event of a fight night, and you go out there and have a stellar performance, and you're on the highs of highs. And then you get the news that, your mother passes away, which is the absolute lows of lows. And I just, that's really sad news. I didn't know about that. But I mean, there's really nothing you can say to console or to make someone feel better. But genuinely, our thoughts and prayers are with Kennedy Njekuku, because, like, and I know I'm butchering the last name. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to learn it, but it is hard. But condolences, man. That's rough. And you're a great fighter, and we look forward to having you in the octagon again. And, we just pray for peace and healing. because that's rough, man. That's really sad.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Thanks for bringing that to my attention. That's sad stuff.
Yeah. And then lastly, Israel Adesanya says he'd bet his house on Alexander Volkanovski for 284. So how do you feel about that?
They're teammates, though, aren't they?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah.
I mean, so come on. You bet your house. Yeah, okay.
But how do you feel that fight's kind of getting a little more talks as we get closer? So any more recent thoughts on, have you thought about it more, or do you have any different opinions?
I think about it. I'm not going to lie to you. I think about it quite often. And the closer we get to it, and I shouldn't say closer because we're still a couple months out, whatever. But
it is the biggest fight. You know?
It's such a big fight. It's such a big fight, man. And Alexander Volkanovski, he's that kind of guy where you tell him he can't do something, he goes out and proves everyone wrong. That's been his whole mentality, his whole career, and he has done it time and time again. I'm telling you right now, if he goes out there and beats Islam Makhachev, he might be one of the greatest fighters of all time. Period. Like Hall of Fame, on Mount Rushmore, one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. If he can go out there and get the job done against Islam Makhachev. In the closer we get to it, the more I'm believing in him. The more I'm like, wow, Alex could do this. Alex definitely could win this fight. He's got it. I mean, he used to play rugby. He used to be fucking 300 pounds playing rugby. It's possible. It's possible. But man, on the side of Islam Makhachev, the wrestling is just so dominant. And I worry, as soon as Alexander Volkanovski, as soon as Islam gets his hands on him, it could be a whole different story. I mean, we could see Alexander Volkanovski get submitted just like everyone else has in this division. So I don't know. It goes back and forth. What are your thoughts? Are you changing your mind? Do you have new thoughts or opinions on this fight?
No, I'm excited for this fight. I don't really think I have any new thoughts. I guess I'm still kind of the outlier here going with Volk just because I think he's got more power and I think he can get it done, especially. I think he's just stronger and he's going to have more power. His striking is obviously leagues ahead of Islam, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But if Islam can get him down, get him that submission, just like he did Charles, I mean, it was pretty 1-2 over, so... But people say if he was in the same position as Brian Ortega got in him with the guillotine, would have Islam have finished that with his strength? Because apparently, DC had Islam put him in, a choke just to see how strong he was, and he says it's the real deal. Yeah. It's no joke. Like, he would have tapped too. So, I don't know. I think Islam's obviously going to try and get it to the ground and get it to a submission, but Volk's tough. He's strong, and I think he's a way better striker. So, Islam's just got to be careful. Yeah,
well, and Volk's strong, too. I mean,
Volk's really
a
strong.
massive featherweight. Just huge and just a brick shit house. So he's got a lot of strength, too. It's just, does he have enough strength to defend that suffocating wrestling of Islam Makhachev? We will see. Time will tell, but I am very excited for that. Do we have anything else?
Yeah, not really of anything of just comments on fighters and stuff like that. So
well, Devin, we are professionals here. We do an hour. It does not matter, guys. Went through the entire card, too, but we're really excited about the Thompson versus Holland preview. That's going to be a fun time. Fight Companion coming this weekend. If you guys are still listening, watching, be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we go live every single Sunday for our previews and recaps. And then when there are fights on, we do Fight Companions on Saturday, whenever the fight card starts. You can also follow me on Instagram. I am Mason Knight. Go and follow me over there on my quest to 45 million Instagram followers. We are so close. But yeah, check us out on our social medias at the Church of MMA. Devin, do you have anything else?
No. Just have a good week, boys.
Yes, everyone have a good week. And be sure, as I said before, be sure to tune in to the Fight Companion, Thompson versus Holland. Probably start right around 4 or 5 p.m. Guys, this is the Church of MMA podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Devin Davis, my co-host today. Hit the ones and twos. Let's go. Are you kidding me or what? And until next time.